Tonight on KGW News, new criminal charges for the driver of a pickup truck that went airborne and slammed into a Tigard home. Plus, on day 2 of a high-stakes hearing, protesters describe being pelted with rubber bullets and tear gas at Portland's ICE building.
Is this excessive force?
It's unnecessary force.
Then fallout from the conflict in Iran. How the war in the Middle East is already affecting gas prices here at home. And later, what ODOT is doing to bring light back to a stretch of I-84 that thieves plunged into darkness. Thanks for joining us here on KGW News at 11. I'm Christine Pitawanich. Today, Oregon Republicans fired back against a bill signed into law. They filed a lawsuit in response to the legislation that moves an anti-tax referendum from the November ballot to the May primary. Alma McCarty joins us now in the newsroom. Alma, this lawsuit, not really a surprise for people who've been following the situation.
Yeah, Christine, this was an expected move out of Salem, with the Republicans expressing their frustration since the beginning of the short session, even boycotting the House chamber when this bill came up for a reading last week.
This is a fight on principle. This is the constitutional rights for the citizens of this state.
Strong words from Oregon Republicans.
Did the voice of the people matter when they exercise their legislative authority through the referendum and initiative process? Does it matter? Or does the legislature always trump?
This after the Oregon legislature voted to pass Senate Bill 1599, which moves an anti-tax referendum from the November ballot to the May primary.
And from the beginning, many of us believed a sweeping tax increase like this should not be decided only inside the Capitol building. It should be decided by the people of Oregon, especially when many Oregonians strongly oppose these taxes and fees.
Representative Ed Deal, Senate Minority Leader Bruce Starr, and Jason Williams, founder of the Taxpayers Association of Oregon, were chief petitioners on the referendum, which put the transportation tax and fee increases to the voters. Now, all three have filed a lawsuit challenging the now law that pushed the vote up to the primary.
So not only were voters left out of the process last year by rushing these tax bills through with limited public involvement, but now they're just trying to sidestep the will of the voters again.
Democratic supporters of the bill argued this week that moving the vote to May will give them more clarity sooner on the ODOT budget situation.
If they approve of the transportation package, the sooner we can get people to work fixing our roads and bridges and potholes. And if they don't approve, the sooner we get to work figuring out a budget that will actually work for everybody. So I'm in favor of getting that vote done as soon as possible so we hear from the voters so we can move forward.
Republicans, however, argue there's a different reason for the move.
The majority in this building and the governor, the last thing they want, the absolute last thing they want, is to share the November ballot with their unpopular gas tax, registration fees, and fee bill. That's what this is really about.
After passing both chambers, the governor signed the bill last night. We reached out to her office for a response to this lawsuit, but her team told us that they cannot comment on pending litigation. Christine?
Alma McCarty reporting. Appreciate the follow-up, Alma. Flashbangs, tear gas, and rubber bullets. Protesters described being shot with less lethal munitions at Portland's ICE building on day 2 of a high-stakes hearing in federal court. Today's testimony covered a wide range of perspectives, from protesters, including the Portland Chicken, to the former head of Customs and Border Protection. Lawyers representing protesters zeroed in on several examples they say show excessive force and violations of protected speech. Judge Michael Simon has already temporarily limited federal officers' use of chemical munitions at the ICE facility, but now protesters are asking the judge to extend those restrictions.
What I've been able to witness in my extensive time down there has been a pretty consistent tactic of using violence and force irrespective of the conduct of the crowd.
Meantime, lawyers for the Department of Homeland Security argue federal officers are protecting the ICE building. They say tear gas and other munitions are key tools to prevent violence and protect officers. But a former head of CBP says those tools aren't being used properly.
It's so clear that the Border Patrol, ICE, et cetera, are not trained in how to deal with crowds of any type, particularly in an urban environment like Portland.
The hearing will resume tomorrow. Judge Simon is expected to make a ruling shortly after testimony wraps up. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. A driver police say went airborne in his truck, crashing into a Tigard home, is now facing more charges. Investigators say in addition to reckless driving and reckless endangerment charges, Jacob Hankins will also face charges for felon in possession of a firearm and criminal mischief. Officers reportedly found a handgun and a rifle they say were stolen from Columbia County in the crash debris. Hankins is a convicted felon, which means he is not allowed to have guns. He's in the Washington County Jail. To East Portland now, where a high school student is in custody accused of making threats towards students and staff at David Douglas High School. The investigation started back in December after someone threatened the school over the phone. Over the last 2 months, Portland police say at least a dozen more threats were made. The investigation led to a 15-year-old student who officers arrested today. He's at the Juvenile Detention Center on charges including disorderly conduct and harassment. Portland Public Schools could soon be making even more cuts to shore up next year's budget. A union representing support staff like paraeducators says 2 furlough days could be on the table. Union leadership told educators if the plan is not accepted, 100 members could be laid off before the end of the school year.
2 furlough days is, it's a significant amount of income based on what little we already live on.
Portland Public is dealing with a $10 million deficit from higher than expected costs. The district is already working to close a $50 million budget cap with cuts that could axe nearly 300 jobs. In a statement, Portland Public Schools says there has been no definitive decision on furlough days or staff layoffs. Okay, stepping outside now for a live look over downtown Portland from our Rose City Skycam tonight. Hope you savored the beautiful weather we had this week because the rain has officially rolled in. Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino here with a first look at your weather impact forecast. Matt, it's definitely been feeling like spring.
It has been. I even saw some trees flowering during the day today, too. So it's been a warm one, as you know. We'll actually dig into how warm it's been over the last 3 months a little bit later on. But right now, up at Timberline, there has been snow in the air. It's down to 32 degrees. Haven't picked up any new to speak of yet, but we will. Let's check out the passes. Still looking good at Government Camp. Well above freezing there. Santiam Pass also looking good. I saw some snowflakes in the air here earlier, and Willamette Pass also dry roads at the moment. But that's changing. When we look at Doppler radar, you see there's another batch of precipitation offshore. We had some light rain move through earlier this evening, dropped less than 1/10 of an inch of rain in the downtown area. But this next one is more active and more dynamic. We're going to get some strong showers, maybe even thunderstorms along the coast. There is a winter weather advisory out for the Central Cascades and near Mount Hood, but not Mount Hood itself. However, we're still going to get several inches of new snow on the mountain. So tomorrow morning for the commute, you can expect rain. It'll continue on and off, turn to showers later in the day. But again, it's going to be a wet one. We'll have more on the snow amounts later, Christine.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Anytime you have a major oil producer involved in a geopolitical event, crude oil prices can spike, and that's what's happening this time.
And so far, we've been spared from big jumps in gas prices in the Pacific Northwest, at least so far. But nationally, the average increased by 11 cents per gallon overnight. In Oregon and Washington, that jump was only 2 cents. But experts expect prices to keep going up as the conflict continues. NBC's Monica Alba breaks down the latest developments.
As the war in Iran expands and U.S. embassies come under attack, President Trump laying out his argument for attacking Iran and why the U.S. acted now.
We were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that.
He claims the U.S. and Israeli strikes have knocked out Iran's weapon detection system.
We're hitting them very hard, and the big scale hitting goes now. They no longer have air protection.
Still, the president's comments today on the timing and reason for the attack contradict what Secretary of State Marco Rubio told congressional leadership yesterday.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces.
Administration officials briefed both the House and Senate today.
They can't make up their mind why they took the action they did, and so you get a different story every hour.
I think they laid out a very precise of what the threat looks like, and we're going to continue to be in the fight until they can no longer threaten the United States.
Iran is hitting back with drone attacks on U.S. embassies, including Saudi Arabia. That embassy, along with others in the region, are now closed. The war impacting the world's energy sources, with Iran targeting the region's oil fields and shipping in the Strait of Hormuz shut down, pushing oil prices higher, in turn leading to rising costs at the gas pumps. The president admitting Americans will feel a pinch.
So if we have a little high oil prices for a little while, but as soon as this ends, those prices are going to drop.
The State Department is now working to get military and charter flights to bring Americans stuck in the Middle East back home. Officials had initially told U.S. citizens to leave the region commercially, but many airports closed and airlines canceled flights when the war began. President Trump said today there was no comprehensive evacuation plan because everything happened so quickly. Monica Alba, NBC News, the White House.
Closer to home, in a bipartisan show of support today, Oregon lawmakers passed a bill to address chronic absenteeism in schools. Senators green-lighted House Bill 5441 this afternoon. It calls for more detailed and frequent data reporting on school absences. Oregon has one of the worst absenteeism rates in the country, and supporters say better data will help the state figure out what's causing so many kids to skip school. Under the legislation, lawmakers say the data on absences would be broken down quarterly, not just once a year.
That helps to make sure that we are, even mid-year, getting reports on how we're doing, and we're able to adjust mid-school year our tactics, our policies.
Just more people knowing about this issue that we're having in our state. I think like once we start bringing this up more in conversation and stuff, like students will be able to create initiatives, more public policies.
Yeah, weighing in on House Bill 4154 there, as you heard, supporters saying this is just the first step in making improvements. The bill now heads to the governor's desk for her signature.